it's Jenny with On Fire Fit, and today I am just doing an update on my mindfulness project pan, use it or lose it. Am I missing one? My plan for the year, and I know that this is not my normal content and may not be something that is of any interest to you, but I do actually have a few people from my Bible group and some of my dear friends that like this sort of thing. And so even if it's just for one, I will make this video, but it is even something fun for me because I just like to see the progress and actually have it recorded so I can look back at it. So if you recall, what this project is all about is that you use the things that you've already purchased and you don't go out and buy more things. You do the best you can. Oh yeah, it's kind of like a no-buy year. I forgot that one. And so even though it's not a no-buy year in all areas of my life or anything, there are certain areas where I don't really need more stuff. And so I am just slowly making my way through the things that I already have. And I'm going to talk about a few things that I suggest as ways to really have a successful time in making this work for you. So being mindful about what you already have and that you don't need more, using what you have or dumping it if you don't use it, and just being able to put a halt on spending in certain areas that you really don't need it. Even if you have the money, you know that it could go for a better purpose. So this is kind of our challenge this year, to really be mindful with the food we put in our mouth, with the things that we're using, where we're spending our money, and just taking a breath, backing up, and figuring out what is it that is really my goal and what's some plans that I can make that happen. So first off, let me just say, if my mouth is looking all wacky, I'm trying to deal with a guard that is supposed to help correct my jaw. So I know that I'm having probably some issues if you've watched any of my past videos, but I am learning to cope with it and it will help me in the long run. I know that. So anyway, I want to show you some of the things that I have used up. So I thought this would be fun. I've watched other people who do this and they always show their empties. And I was like, why do I get a kick out of seeing people's empty bottles of things? But I guess it just keeps me remembering that I had set out, I'm going to show you my little agenda of how I decided what things I needed to use up. It's cool to see the progress of what you had sitting on a shelf that you weren't using, that actually you want to use, you just didn't have a plan or get lazy or whatever. So I went ahead and just saved some of the things that I have been using up. So this was one of my essential oil blends called a joyful oil, and I went ahead and used that up this last month. I used another one of my essential oil that is, I called it ageless, but it has various things like frankincense and whatnot. And I used that this month very regularly every day. And I had this, oils don't last forever, so you can't just go forever and not use it and then expect it to be okay for you. It wasn't old, it's just that I wasn't using it. So we used up our aloe vera, which I ended up having to replace because we like using that. We used up one of our breakout treatments. This is going to be a lose it because it's an eyeliner that just doesn't really look. It barely, I can't even get it to really work. It doesn't, it's just no bueno, get rid of it. This one did me a huge favor. So Project Pan is a project that some people do where they're trying to hit pan where they can actually see the metal on their product, which means they've been using it regularly instead of using a little bit of a whole bunch of different things that you never end up getting through. They use one thing until they finally hit pan. Well, mine hit the floor, and so it gave me pan. It dropped out of my bag and hit the floor, and this stuff was on the floor of our bathroom, which granted it's clean, but no way am I putting it on my face. So bye-bye, no more. Use it or lose it, it's gone. So on to the next thing. Now I'm going to flip the camera around and just show you quickly my agenda of how I kind of go about using the things that I have. This is my January habit tracker. And if you haven't done habit tracking, you may or may not be the type where this actually is motivating to you, but for me it is. I like to see progress, and it actually makes me want to read a few pages or write in my journal if I know I can track it. I don't know if that's just a weird thing that certain people like, but apparently it's a big enough thing for enough people because they make entire books all about it. And I actually photocopied a page out of one of the habit books that I had read in the past, and it just gave me a way to track easily. So there's certain books that I am going through, and this is from the month of January. And it just gives you every day of the week, or every day of the month, every day of the month. And so like in February, I have a February one that you just circle it, because obviously there's a first, second, third, fourth, fifth day of every month. And so then you just start tracking when you've done it. And I have a book by Sean Bowles. I had a red light book that was actually a Kindle book, but I always forget to read on my Kindle on my phone. I don't have a regular Kindle, but it just doesn't occur to me to read off of my phone. But that's how I have that book, and I wanted to read it. It's just I kept forgetting. So having it on here, I ended up, well, I think it's in February that I finished it, but I had another book that I finished. It says Tormented. It's actually a longer title than that. A Psalm 91 book. And then the TLM books they're like little journals that I write something I love about each of my kids and my husband. Each of them has their own little book. And so I just write one sentence. And then my Psalm 23 book. And then this way I kind of track, and I got these two books I finished in the month of January. And then these other ones I made progress on. And then in February, I've started, and so some of them I'm still continuing on. And then I finished Psalm 23, and I read the full red light book. So now I'm making my way into some other ones, how to pray and seeking God together, along with these others this is Daily Gifts is more like a little one sentence journal for each day of the week. And then this book is kind of like a devotion, so it doesn't take much time. So that's how I kind of make use of the books that I have. I do like reading, but I just get like a vegetable. And you'll see there are times that I didn't do anything. I mean, I think this was before I really decided I was going to do those. But there's days where I skipped it and whatnot, but I still figure this is better than not having done it at all. And that's what was happening prior to this. So it actually kind of pushes me on to do something I do enjoy, and it still leaves room for me to be a vegetable. Okay, this is where I think it probably gets weird for some people, but this is my use it or lose it. So I have certain food items that are still good, but I just always forget to use them. And I'm just like, you know what? I just need to use these things up. And so I made a list of those things. And as I finish them, I just cross them off. Some of these I end up having to use only a small amount. And so therefore I am going to be using it for a little while, but it will definitely kind of help me to keep remembering to use things in various recipes. And so that is my plan. Like I started putting my nutritional yeast in my smoothies every day because it adds protein. I made some pumpkin muffins for my kids. I made some molasses pancakes for my kids. I've been trying to use my cacao for like a smoothie and things like that. So a lot of these things, this rice vinegar, I used it in a recipe today. So just kind of using things that I already have. Over here, I listed out the makeup and the cleansing products, things like that that I am using up. And then this is a list of all the books that I currently have on my list of things to read. And I'll just continually add it to that tracker as I go. So that is that. Okay, so there you have it. My advice to you includes writing down what the things are that you want to use, making it simple. One of my friends, Nikki, showed us how she took a canister in her kitchen and she took all the different types of like supplements that she had intended to use. They're different like powders. And she put them all in one so that all she has to do is scoop one scoop and plop it in. Because really, when you're in a rush, you're not going to open 4 or 5 different containers. And so you end up not using those things and then they're just going to expire. So make a plan so that it's simple and easy and you don't have to think so much about it. And then if you need to, if it works well for you, track it, because tracking is really cool. And then save your empties. I just have a little shoebox that I have been saving all my little empty bottles so that at the end I get to show you. And then remember that your long-term goal is to use the money that you are saving for some other good purpose. We all have dollars here and there that it's not a big deal to use on things that we don't, that's not going to make a big difference one at a time. But when you add them all up, it makes a huge difference. And beyond that, it's a mentality. It's a wasteful mentality that we're trying to get over. It's learning to be mindful and really honing in on what do I really need and what is all this excess about, And so it will help us to train to really think things through before we just reflex buy another product again. So anyway, I hope that helps you. I like it. It's fun for me. And so I would love to hear from you. I know that I may or may not have any comments back, but we're going to keep this series going just for my own interests. And I hope that it helps you in some way. So go out and live that life on fire. Thanks for watching.